As someone who watches any amount of content on TV, resolution is a huge factor in your experience. The amount of pixels on your screen is a massive selling point, especially when it's pushed above full high definition or 1080p. In recent years, 4K, also known as ultra high definition or 2160p, has had explosive mainstream popularity. Many streaming services such as Netflix and Disney Plus have added native support for 4K, along with video sharing platforms like YouTube. The popularity of this resolution of monitors, whether it be a TV or for a computer, or even though 1080p is still overwhelmingly the most common in the world, the conversation has been pushed even further. 8K or 4320p, largely in TVs, is the next target of adoption for some enthusiasts and content consumers, and it's the topic of today's video. So why 8K? Isn't 4K high enough resolution or even 1080p? The overwhelming majority of screens people view daily are 1080p as mentioned, as is much of the content viewed on them through cable television and live streaming. Sometimes even lower than that, but 1080p has solidified itself as a durable standard over the past decade or so. 4K immediately runs into some problems. In the present, mostly with the adoption of displays that output this resolution. Availability of 4K content to consume is improving with every passing day. Streaming services are investing lots in bringing 4K into the mainstream more, but the issues don't stop there. As we brought up, 4K screens are still a rarity in the world compared to the lower resolutions, so you can give the option to view a higher quality, but it won't matter if your screen doesn't support it. This doesn't even begin to acknowledge the price hike you find in 4K TVs and monitors of a size, compared to their 1080p and lower counterparts. The success of 8K will ultimately come down to these few factors, as it does for any new resolution standard. Price, content, and adoption, all of which are clearly related. Let's first tackle price. This is the first thing to consider for most consumers that are buying a new TV, potentially before size and resolution. Price is the number you look to after being taken to the stratosphere with a marvelous TV, before being ripped back to earth by the countless zeros on the tag. 8K TV suffers from the price premiums of emerging technology, with even baseline versions costing several thousands as a starting point. When a shiny new standard for screens enters the market with that type of introduction, it can understandably be a tough pill to swallow. 8K at the moment is in the spot 4K was in terms of pricing several years ago. It's in its niche category. This becomes even harder to justify when coupled with the next struggle, content availability. It's no secret that 8K content is sparse and difficult to find in most places. Blu-ray discs don't support it, most streaming services don't. The biggest mainstream platform that does is YouTube. Even there, you have to specifically search up 8K content to use your TV to its full potential, aside from the compression. Most creators don't have cameras capable of recording it, and most companies don't upload it, exactly for the next reason: adoption. This really ties the other two main difficulties of 8K together, which really just describe the minuscule population of the world that actually has an 8K screen. In a self-fulfilling cycle, there's a little 8K content to watch for such a massive price, decreasing adoption and vice versa. This really strikes the core of the resolution's hardship. Most people simply have never seen much of a reason to upgrade with all the hurdles it requires to enjoy that amazing resolution. At least that's how it is now. After hearing all of that, you're probably in the same boat as you were before playing this video. The 8K is a hyper-exclusive, unnecessary, expensive resolution upgrade that doesn't even have much to offer in the full resolution. These are all fair concerns and definitely have truth to them in the present, just the present. Let's revisit those three issues, but with the future of previously introduced resolution bumps in mind. Pricing is the easiest to knock down, which happens eventually with all new tech. 8K TVs will be more efficiently produced and more companies will produce them, dragging the price down to a more reasonable one. It won't touch the levels of 4K and 1080p TVs, which are bound to fall even further due to this change, but it will enter the realm of considerations for many consumers. Once this happens, it'll finally be worth a second look by many who were quickly off-put by the 8K premiums. Soon after, with the ability to upgrade to an 8K TV approaching possibility for more people, the streaming services and other platforms will take notice and make way for native 8K support on their platforms. Anticipating a new wave of adoption, we'll touch on that shortly, Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus will lead the way, rumored to be laying 8K groundwork as we speak, as the titans of content consumption prepare for a gradual yet steady flow of 8K owners. And finally, with the reality of an 8K-ready world setting in, more and more people will hop on the train and enjoy the mind-blowing resolution it offers. Adoption will again be intertwined with pricing and content offerings and lift 8K from the realm of niche and into the mainstream over time. As a result, 4K and 1080p content will trickle to more and more consumers, improving the viewing experience for all. But hold on, pause. We've talked a lot about the future, but we're here now in 2021 with 8K in its current position, and it's a tough sell right now. After all, the story of improving resolutions has always been one of patience, but if history repeats itself, which there's major evidence to suggest, so based on 4K's explosive popularity, 8K will soon be in the front of millions of eyeballs. The question quickly becomes, will this be less and less worth it beyond 8K? 4K is already a technological marvel, displaying stunning images and video at a resolution that makes seeing individual pixels next to impossible. If you put this screen and one at 8K next to each other, how many people would really be able to see the difference? This is known as the law of diminishing returns, or the idea that as something improves so drastically over time, at a certain point, the concrete change between iterations decreases. Is 8K approaching that threshold, or is it further? Maybe 16K? The few consumers that actually have this higher resolution in their homes seem to point to yes. It is becoming a smaller difference, even though 8K displays 4 times as many pixels as 4K. Getting tired of hearing numbers in front of K yet? The bottom line is, the future of displays will really be one to watch. The innovation brought about by the TV industry and their willingness to push the limits of what's possible on a screen will always amaze the public. And if the content available on them manages to keep up, we're in for an exciting decade. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.